finally. Hello, and welcome to Romany's Realm Journal Chat Live with me. I'm Romany. Hello, and we're just doing some random journal-y type stuff today. I've got my journal here to show you, and I just thought I'd finish off a couple of bits and pieces that I've got already going. So if you've got your journal, get it out and just doodle along with me, or whatever you want to do. So yeah, this moleskin cahier, I was using my big black Believe journal, my A5 one. I love that thing, I really do. However, it's not conducive for me to regular journaling. Oh, make me one while you're there, Trace. I could do with a refill. With the Believe journal, what I find is I was getting very anxious, is the best way I can describe it. I was overly aware of not sticking too many things in. I couldn't just be free to do what I wanted in it, because you have to be really careful at the beginning of one of those really thick books that you don't break the spine. So for the first 100 pages or so, I was going to have to be careful. And what I found was I wasn't journaling properly because I was overly worried about, oh, but I don't want to break the spine, I don't want to push the book out. So I retired that after about 5 pages because there was no way I could live with that for a year. That is going to be, I'm currently finishing off my A6 book from last year as my writing journal. Just, I have times when I just need to write and write and write and write and write, and it's not really, it's kind of like morning pages, but not in the morning and not any set time. I can write 50 pages in one sitting sometimes, and I just need to get things out of my head. So it's like a writing dump. And I'm using up the rest of my A6 from last year because, again, the spine was going and I didn't want to put it through anymore. And I've got about 10 pages left in that. So as soon as I finish that one, I'll use my A5. So it's not going to go to waste. I'm just using it as a writing journal. It's beautiful to write in. It takes fountain pen beautifully. I love it. And I can still draw and sketch and doodle in it when I feel like it. But, you know, I'm not sticking things in, which is what I normally do with my journals. So this is my moleskin cahier for January. For a while I've been talking about using a similar system to Jenny Penton over at Planner Perfect on YouTube. Just put in Jenny Penton and you'll find her. She has this planner system of plan books where she uses one of these a month and she does like a day for a page, and she's got all her planning in it for the month. And I thought, well, hang on a minute, that could work for journaling. So I'm using it as my journal. And I'm just sticking bits on as I feel like it. I wanted to decorate the cover, but I was too lazy to actually decorate it properly. So I'm just sticking bits on as I find stuff that I like. And I've got some stuff in here I can't show you because it's private, but I bought this little calendar thingy for, I think it was about 69p in WH Smith's. I haven't got it here. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Here we go. You can buy these anywhere. 69p in WH Smith's, and it's just the calendar for the year. So I cut out January, I coloured it in, and I stuck it on there. And then this is notable events. So I've got the 1st, I started Susie's class. 4th, When Frogs Sing 2016 kicked off. The 8th was date night, we saw Hateful Eight. The 9th, my friend passed away. The 10th, David Bowie passed away, and I haven't put Alan Rickman in yet. Oh my goodness me. But yeah, all sorts of different odd bits and pieces that are happening. This was us on New Year's Eve, look. New Year's Eve, me, Maddie and Scooby sitting in bed with a book. We know how to party. There might have been a rum and coke involved in that as well, actually. Now I recall. I don't like New Year's Eve. This was just some notes for my word of the year. I've got a quote here from Neil Gaiman that I really liked. This is my page for my word of the year. So this is a work in progress because I've only done bits of it. But originally I put, how can I make this year magical? And it bugged me that I had nowhere to put the question mark. I couldn't decide where to put the question mark. My only option was to find a question mark sticker that I could put on there. And I couldn't find one. So I swapped it around. I stuck a piece of paper over this and I put, how I can make this year magical, which is both a better positive statement and doesn't require a question mark. You'll come party with us. Yeah, my partying style is, my idea of a good night out is a good night in, frankly. I'm not a party girl. So how I can make this year magical? So I think this was the first one I did. It's just kind of a brainstorm type thing of things that I think of as I go. And since it's a whole year, I thought, why do I have to fill the whole page straight away? Why can't I take a few weeks to settle in and think about what I want to do? So my goal this year, I hope to inspire others to have a go at things I enjoy creatively and take time to enjoy them myself. So that ties in with my PP&C class, with my When Frogs Sing class, because that's one of the prompts for them as well. What do you want to achieve this year? And how can I do that? 1, create a magical space, teach what I love, Ustream and YouTube, more regular schedule, and the self-improvement tarot, which I haven't actually started yet, but I'm probably going to start that for Imbolc, because that's kind of my new year. And one of the things I find with January, and one of the reasons I hate New Year and I hate resolutions and I just hate the whole thing, is that the 1st of January, everybody wakes up with like all these amazing things that they're going to do and they overload themselves and they get overly committed to too many projects. And then, you know, by the 17th, they're like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. And they stop doing any of them. So I'm easing myself into it. January is like my run-up month to Imbolc, which is when my new year starts. Take time every day to have quiet time and coffee. First I drink the coffee, and then I do the things. I think Carrie linked me that. It's perfect, isn't it? Be your own superhero. There's not really any story behind that other than I really liked the little sticky teddy. So I put him on a pedestal. But it's still got meaning, you know, it still ties in with magical, you know, be your own hero. Which is ironically actually become very fitting because my musical hero just passed away. One of the loveliest people I've ever known has just passed away, who really inspired everybody to be better than they already were. And one of my favourite actors is gone. And then one of my favourite musicians, Lemmy, passed away in December, just before New Year's Eve. So, you know, David Bowie was my hero. He really was. I don't know, there's something about his music that in my teenage years, when I was the odd one out and the weirdo and the crazy girl in the corner with the sketchbook who was always doing weird stuff, you know, he made me feel better about being a freak, frankly. And I really liked that. I appreciated it and I loved his music. So, you know, his whole, the confidence he had to just get out there and be himself really had a huge impact on me for most of my teens and 20s. So yeah, he really was a big influence in my life. So I mean, his music's still around, thank God. Thank God they don't take that with them, eh? What else have we got? Move more. Move. This is the magical cow of moving. magical cow of moving. Move. You don't have to be 40, sporty, you just have to be healthy. I'm not going to take up running anytime soon, but I need to move around more. Yoga, stretching, more dog walks. Longer dog walks, because they need to get out more as well. It's not enough to just walk once around the park. I need to go and take them different places and things like that. And then I've got my creating my magical space, which is my little nook over there. I'm going to have a nice little nook in the window, clear out the dead space, because that corner is currently just a big pile of books and it's dead space. The only time I ever go up over there is to open the curtain or open the window, which is a waste of a really nice corner when you're in a small flat. So, journaling. I don't know who did this. I've got some stuff to put in here. I wrote it somewhere else and I need to stick it in, but I haven't done it yet. I often end up with patches like that because I'll go out and I'll journal in a little mini book or something, or on note cards, and then I forget to stick them in, so I need to get around to that. I don't know who did this. I think it might have been one of Shaz's. I'm really not sure, but I found it. It was in a pile of paper, and I thought, oh well, I'll put that there. I need to find out who drew it. I think it was Shazan Duddle, but I'm not sure. I'll have to ask her. And then we had a date night, went to see Hateful Eight. This is a work in progress. I thought I might work on this a little bit today. And then I've got another thing. I'm going to do some photo journaling here, but I can't stick them on until I've coloured this because it'll be a bumpy surface. So I've got them in the pocket in the back and I'm just going to stick them on when I'm done with that page. And then we had a play day at the park on Sunday, play morning at the park. This was the winter solstice prompt from Susie's class. My friend who passed away. Some notes on a video I was watching. And then this, I found this on Facebook. This is one of the things I really like to do. You know when you pin the... Everybody says, oh, I don't know what to journal about. I don't know what to write about. I want to doodle, but I don't know what to do. I want to do lettering, but I don't know what to do. I want to practice my calligraphy, but I don't know what to do. Well, you spend all day on Facebook pinning stuff like this, don't you? So gather some of them. You know, when you're on the computer, you can actually... At the top right-hand side of any post, there is a drop-down box and you can click on it and save it. And then there's a link to go to my saved posts. So things like recipes or quotes like this that I want to print out, I just save them and then I delete them afterwards when I've printed them or put them in my book or pinned them or whatever it is I'm going to do with them. And I found this one. This is your Sunday evening reminder that you can handle whatever this week throws at you. Boy, did I need that this week. I can't bring myself to write on this bit yet. I'm going to write about David Bowie there and the influence he had on me, but I haven't got around to it yet. I've stuck a photo of him there. The stars look very different today. That's what is one of his quotes from Starman. And his new album is called Black Star. See what I did there? Yeah, Black Star. I know, that was clever, isn't it? General journaling, I drew her. I saw this on Facebook and I absolutely loved it. It says, I'm not sure what my spirit animal is, but I'm confident it has rabies. And after a really crap week, that really made me laugh. So, and that's as far as I've got at the moment. I've got quite a few bits to come and stick in because, like I said, I journal when I'm out and about. But I guess we could finish this one off and chat, couldn't we? Can you see? Might finish her in pen. Might do a ballpoint pen doodle, maybe. I've got to put that thing down. I keep playing with it. It's an ollie clip and it makes a really satisfying click when it snaps. So I'm constantly playing with it. I'll put it up there so I can't play with it. Right. Let's find some pens to play with. Oh, I know what else. I pulled this out because this is one of the... I've got a video going up next week on these. This is the Mambi, Me and My Big Ideas. Oh, I like that. What a nice little thing to put on there. from the cellar. Oh, I like that. That's cute, isn't it? Oh, how lovely. I might stick that on my journal. These are pocket pages. They're basically Project Life cards. But what I like about these ones is A, they're not as thick as Project Life cards. So they're easier to stick on. Journals are a comfort anytime, more so when sad things happen. Yeah. I wrote about 100 pages in my big journal last week, which is why this one is so empty. Because sometimes you just have to get it all out. Do you like my bookmark? That's from Book Depository. Every time you buy a book from Book Depository, they send you a lovely bookmark. I collect them. I've got about 80 of them now in different things, and I've got them all in different journals. These, they're coloured on one side, but on the other, they're all either dot grid or grid. I love that because I really dislike it when I've got... You'll buy the Project Life cards and you'll have a cracking design on one side, and then you look at the other side, you'll be like, yeah, I love that design too. And you'll look through the entire pack and there won't be another one. So you'll only have the two. So the only thing you can do with it is either use it in a Project Life page so it's double-sided, or stick it onto a page so you can see both sides of it. There is nothing else you can do with it unless you sacrifice one side. So I like the fact that these have one side. Now, I did some writing when I don't want... How do I explain it? My writing journal is kind of my ranty journal. It's a cross between a rant journal and a burn book. And, you know, just when things really piss me off and I've got to get it out of my system, I go and put it away in there. And it stays in there. And it doesn't conflict with anything else. You know, this is my happy place. I don't want that stuff in here because it's toxic. It's the kind of stuff that you might write on a piece of paper and throw away, but I like to keep mine because I like to go back and laugh at them later. But I couldn't find my little journal the other day and I needed to get something off my chest. So instead, I put it in here, but I wrote it in pencil. So it's there. And I wrote it and I feel better now. It's out of my system, but I don't want to keep seeing it in my journal. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to grab this and I'm going to grab a glue stick. Ooh, whoops. Craft a lunch. Everything just fell on the floor. I'm going to grab a glue stick and this. And I stick it all over there like that. And I'm going to put that there. Like that, so I can see I wrote something and I've got a couple of words here, so I'll think, oh, hang on a minute, no, I remember what that was about. Okay, it's the memory for me. I know what I said, I know how I felt. I don't necessarily need to reread the whole thing, but I don't want it sitting there staring at me, and I don't want anybody else to read it. Not that anybody else reads it. I mean, who's going to read my journal? Maddie? No. So I can stick that on there. It's nice. I can doodle around it and do bits and pieces. And it covers up what's there. It's a kind of impermanent way of putting things in your journal when you really need to get something out but you've got nowhere else to put it. Okay, so what should we do with this? Oops, now I've dropped them all out of the card. Get it together, girl. Oh my goodness me. Right. I think I'm just going to use ballpoint for this. Where's my scribble pad? There it is. I've got these sticky notes. They're rubbish. They either don't stick, or they stick so hard that they stick to themselves. So I either get them off, and then they don't stick to anything else, or I can't get them off of here, and I end up taking the one underneath as well. So I use them as a scribble pad. So, if you can see what I've drawn, I've just drawn a girl. You should be able to see her when I draw in pencil. I don't know why I put that on there. I never use that. I don't like heavy pens. I'm not sure I like her mouth, and I want to change her hair a bit, but I like her eyes. So we're going to go with that. The reason I like drawing in ballpoint so much is you can get such really light details. Like that is really, really light compared to the pressure I could put on it versus that. So you can barely see that thin line. And they work really nicely on this moleskin paper because it's so smooth. Oh, and incidentally, because I've been ranting about this for a while, moleskin paper went downhill dramatically, like seriously, from what it used to be when I think production moved to China, and it's never been the same. It stopped being able to take pens, even triplus liners bled through. And then the last three I've had, like this set of cahiers, and I had a couple that were the large cahier, have been better paper. And it's markedly different. Like the heavy duty, the hardback one I've got, the paper is completely different. It feels completely different. But it's a plain. And yet the cahiers are more like the Evernote paper, which is amazing. The Evernote paper moleskins are just they're like the moleskins used to be back in the day. I wish they'd bring out a sketchbook one with the thick original sketchbook paper in. Then we'd all be happy. Except with the price. But yeah, these little cahiers seem to have the better paper. The volant, that's what I had, one of the volants, and that was even nicer paper. It was very, very peculiar. And I've purchased, I'll show you this as well. Ray Blake made me a traveller's notebook for my large moleskins, because originally I was going to use these like the plan books, like Jenny Plenton does, but journals. And then with doing Susie's class, I really only need one at a time. But I also wanted to have them as idea books and a desk journal and things like that. So I've got the other two moleskin cahiers in here on an elastic band. And I've got one, this is one that Ray Blake made, which is lined, which I'm just putting ideas in. It's got way too many bookmarks. I don't like all these bookmarks. I'm going to have to take some of these out. I don't like bookmarks, string bookmarks. So I might take those out and use them for something else. Actually, they're only knotted on, so I could take them out of here and put them in my witch journal, which I do use notebook bookmarks for. But these are on strings. There's 4 strings. He put 4 strings in for me. And the reason he did that is because I got one of these. This is the plain soft cover. I thought I would see if the plain soft cover has the nice paper as well. And then, and only then, if it does, will I try another plain hardback to see if that's got the nicer paper in again as well. Although, like I say, the last few hardbacks I bought, they've been awful. Absolutely awful. The ink bleeds through like crazy. Even the non-bleed Sharpie pens bleed through the hard book moleskin paper. And I didn't get duds because I bought them from several different places. Eventually I ended up buying one from Moleskine itself, which cost me an absolute fortune, but I was determined to get an absolutely 100% genuine one to see if it was the paper, and it was. But this is a soft cover, and it's only a little bit thicker. It's actually only a little bit thicker than the Cahiers. The Cahiers are 64 pages. This is, oh, I can't remember, I didn't look on the, oh, it doesn't say how many pages it is. Oh, 192, so it's the same amount of pages, but that tells you how much the hardcovers on the large moleskins take up, because my large moleskin is way bigger and heavier than this. There's nothing to it, it's so light. But I thought I could put, let's take that off. I love the colour too, isn't it gorgeous? Orchid, this one is. There's a magenta, which is more pink, and then there's this one, which is the wild orchid, and it's so pretty. But I was going to do that in the front, and then oh, I've got to do it without stretching the elastic too much. That in the back, there we go. Like that. Ta-da! I like it. Because I've been doing my When Frogs Sing stuff in these. That was our first drawing lessons. Or the first 4, 5 and 6 of our drawing lessons. And I thought, you know, by the time I get to the end of the year, I'm going to have about 50 of these. So I got a bigger one, and I can put the drawing lessons in that. Keep them all together. So yeah, that's rather cool. I could actually fit 3 of those in here if I wanted to. It does fit nicely on the 2 elastics, yeah. I love Ray Blake's Traveller's Notebooks. He does them so well. It's a little bit off because I've got 2 notebooks in the front and I've got 1 at the back, so it overlaps a bit more at the back. But what I can do with this is, when I want to take this one with me, is just slip it on an elastic and pop it in, and that's it. I can take this one as well in here, which is another reason for using the moleskin Cahiers. I can change them. Oh yeah, I've got to take those off, they're driving me nuts. I can change them around, and you know, I can take this, or I can take my little, just this. Like if I'm going out, I don't want to take this and my Filofax. I'd be weighed down. But this can slot in the back of my Filofax easily, and it fits my A5, etc, etc, etc. So there you go. That's my. Oh, I was going to look at the paper. Should we check the paper? Is the paper the same as the Cahiers and Volante, or is it the same as the crappy moleskin? It's like the Volante paper. Yay! It's smoother than this, but it's the same thickness. It's like the Volante paper, so it's just that little bit smoother. Oh yeah, I can live with that. Okay, so that solves that problem. I'll buy the soft cover ones now and put them in here. Okay, let's get some more drawing done, shall we? Goodness me, I'm all over the place today. That's what happens when you wake up late after a really long sleep. You love the nose. Thank you. I draw noses differently every time I do them, to be honest. Noses is one of the things I struggle with. So I tend to always do them differently. For my little characters, I do them like just a line. I don't even draw a proper nose on these. She's just got a line with a smudge. Ooh, where did my light go? Oh no, it was my the light suddenly went and I was like, what? No, it was the laptop dimming. So yeah, I don't even do a proper nose, I just do a shadow for that. But on a larger piece, I think you need to do a proper nose. I use the right. When I draw a face, I do it on a square. Because it works for me. So this is the nose point. And what I generally do is I have a round part there, and then the two brackets, and then the outer bits, and then I will normally shade in extra bits according to how pretty I want it to be, how if it's a bloke, I might make it a bit bigger and a bit more kind of square and rough. Or for an ethnic person, I might make the outer pieces a little bit wider and kind of more flatter, because coloured people's noses tend to be a lot flatter and kind of stubby. Well, I draw in a square because I can't draw a circle for toffee. I explain this in depth in my classes, but basically a lot of people will start a face with draw an oval. And if I draw an oval, this is what happens. I tried doing Tam's technique. Tam just draws this oval over and over again until she gets the right size. Now, this is what happens with mine. You see what's happening? I'm not getting a consistent oval. She does it and it ends up a perfect oval. I do it and I just get concentric oval circle things and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I just can't do it. But if you take a square, like this is the basics of what I teach. You start with a square and there's another square underneath, and you put a line down the middle and divide these in half, okay? And what you've got there for your face is the nose, the eyebrows, the chin. Now see, I can draw a curve there, and there's the top of the head. The top of the hair, not the top of the head. The hairline is around here somewhere. So if you've got a bald person, it's going to be smaller. The top of the hair is about there. And then all it is a series of bring it down there, bring it down there, and there's your face shape. And you can change the size of the chin, you can make it a bit more square if you're drawing a bloke, you can make it shorter here if the person's bald, or you can add more hair if you want to, if it's like up in a ponytail or on top of the head. You got the eye line there, the lips in here, and it's just so much easier for me than draw an oval and work from there, because there's the other way of doing it is like Tam starts with draw an oval, and I tried that and my oval just got bigger and bigger and bigger. Susie does faces where you start with the eyes. You start with the eyes and nose, and she'll have her lines, and it's a similar thing to what I did with my square, but she'll draw her nose here, and then she'll draw her eyes, and then she'll do the rest of the face. Well, I do that, and I end up drawing the nose this big. And then to get it in proportion, my eyes end up here. And then where do you put the rest of the face? You end up with the entire page is a face, and you've got nowhere to do anything else. So I have to contain mine, and I contain it by doing it in a square. I can visualise that part of the face there. And I've found for me, if I want to do a full-size face on a page, about a post-it note size, is about the right size of a square. And if I want to do a smaller face, then sort of an inch, inch and a half is about the right size for me, which gives me this or this. It's just what works for me. Because you can draw. I get excited about it, can you tell? You can draw anything with a square. Anything fits into a square. And by square, I mean a square rectangle. Because a rectangle is an imperfect square. Or a square is a perfect rectangle. So if you want a perfect circle, you draw a perfect square, you mark off your centre points, and then all you've got to do is connect the dots. And there's your circle. There's none of this going round and round and round and round and round and ending up with this. If you want to draw an oval, like an equal oval, you do the same with a rectangle. Put in your curves, and then all you've got to do is join the dots. If you want an egg, you draw a rectangle, you find your centre points here, and all you do is move the centre points on the edges to whichever end you want the fat end. So it's like a less than and equal to sign. Whichever your fat end is going to be the bigger end. So I've moved it towards the bigger end. So now all I've got to do is gauge where those are going to meet. Draw my curve for here. And you can almost imagine where the lines are going to be. You can see the lines on the page of where they're going to go because the square automatically tells you where it's going to go. You need an octagon? Okay then. So we'll just chop off that square, that side and that side and that side and that side, and then you've got an octagon. You wanna draw a star? Okay then. Now 5 points won't fit exactly into a star, but if you take that as the central point and you go like that and do 2 triangles, and then you come up to about here and across there and back down, look at that, you've got a star, and it's not entirely perfect, but it's good enough. It's a hell of a lot better than it would have been if you'd drawn it freehand. Everything I do is done in a square. We're even drawing leaves in squares. This thing I did for the leaves, we did a whole section on how to draw leaves in squares to get this. And as you progress, you get to the point where you can envisage the square on the page, so you don't need the square. You start off drawing the square and then drawing the shape that you want inside the square to contain it. And then as you progress, you don't need the square anymore. You can imagine how big the square is going to be and draw your shape straight into it without having to draw the square in the first place. It's clever. I'm trying to write it down. I'm attempting to put it in book form because it's not something that I've seen anybody else do. And it's very popular with beginners, particularly for portraits. Not proper portraits, of course. You know, you're not going to draw realistic portraits using that method. But if all you want to do is draw your pretty girls and pretty boys and pretty faces and something that approximates your Uncle Toby or whatever, then it works. I don't know what to do with her mouth. Her mouth is kind of open, but I'm not sure if I want to do an open mouth. Let me think about this. Sometimes I struggle to envisage what it's going to look like by the time I've coloured it in. Maybe if I flatten this off a little bit and just do the shading to show where her teeth are. That'll work. Yeah, let's do that. I'm also a huge proponent of, if you draw a single line, like, it's the same principle that Tam uses for her ovals, really, but a bit less random. If you draw a square like that, and it's even slightly off, it's obvious because your brain is looking at it going, oh, that line's out of place. But if you draw a square like this, your brain sees a square because it picks the lines that best fit what it thinks it's looking at. So I'm a huge proponent of sketchy, double written lines. It's a big thing in my classes. I tell people off for just doing single lines. I don't tell them off, you know, but I tend to say, well, that's good if you want to doodle, but that's not good for sketching. Try this. Put a little bit of shading in her eyes now. Don't want anybody getting freaked out because she's got no eyeballs or something. Which happens more than you think. Okay, I've got to sort this hair out. I don't like that hair the way it is. I think I'm going to bring that down here a little bit more. That's better. There we go, that works better. And we've got this one going up here. It's coming down here. Yeah, that's better, I like that. Can't decide where the edge of her hair is going to be? Okay, do a couple of scribbly lines. She's actually got, I drew a bit there as well. So she's kind of got sweeping pieces, like she's taken bits from the side and pinned it back, like an updo type thing. And I always draw the hair around the face first. Not always, but I always sketch in where I'm going to put the hair hanging down. At the very least, I don't always sketch the hair in full first. But I always have that, you know, where am I going to have this bit before I put in the face? Because I might have drawn her face too wide for the hairstyle that I've chosen. Or she might have, because she's got her hair up, she doesn't look as pretty with a pointed chin as she would with a rounded chin. So I think her chin's alright actually. I'm going to go ahead and put it in. And this is her neckline here. And here she's got just a loose curl coming down. we go. Ooh, blobbing. And up there I've got flowery type things going on, but I don't know if I want to draw them in or if I want to stick flowers on. Haven't decided yet. Struggled with ovals for years. Yeah, I struggled with ovals for years. That's why I can't. And then the alternative is to use the egg shape head, which is you start with a circle like that, and then you divide it, however, and then you put in the shape, you know. And every time I did that, all my faces looked like aliens or ice cream cones. I mean, that looks like an ice cream cone. It's not a face. Works for 3/4 faces too. You just move the centre line. Oh, it's gone chilly. I think my heating's gone off. Right, let's give us some shading, shall we? So I'm going to have the light coming from this side, just because that's easy and I don't have to think about it. So if the light's coming from here, like that. Oh, you can't see if I do that. Hang on. The light's coming from here. Then anything that is on the right hand side is going to have a shadow. So this line is going to be darker. So there's going to be shadow over under there. Yes, I totally just cleaned my pen on my sleeve. Very bad habit that I'm trying to get out of. That's why I don't wear sleeves very often, but it's cold today. Just going to have some shading under there. Now this bit, it's overhanging, so there's going to be a little bit of a shadow, but not much, only a little bit there. It's a contact shadow of like two surfaces meeting. It's not a proper shadow as in cast shadow. This is a highlight here. So this is going to be a little bit shaded. More so towards the eyelid because that overhangs into itself. The nose sticks out, so that's going to have shadow over here. And then there's that funny little bit here that always has a weird bit of shadow here. Cast shadow on the nose. Like that. Under the lip there's going to be a bit of shadow because the lips stick out. And then there's the cheeks are here, so that's going to be highlighted, but the rest of it is going to be quite, because the face is rounded, so it's turning away from the light. So this is all going to be in shadow. Same again with the eyes, where they're overlapping. There's going to be a heavier shadow here for the eyelids. The hair's overhanging that bit of the eye, so that'll be quite dark there. Oh, I zoned out there for a bit. I'm back now. So that's what we've got at the moment. And you can see I go over the lines. I don't colour inside the lines because there aren't lines on a face. This line here doesn't exist. That is a rounded surface that comes up and goes down like that. Unless it's very, very harsh light, like really harsh sunlight from this side, there isn't going to be a shadow, a line there. It's a gradual dark to light progression. So now I've established my shadows, I can start putting in the features a little more densely so they stand out a bit more. You've zoned out as well. I find myself doing that when I watch Dee Dee. If any of you watched Inky Dee Dee Willingham, she colours and she's so meditative when she colours with a pencil. It's like an ongoing rhythm. It's like the visual equivalent of those ASMR sound videos. I just sit there and watch her for hours. It's hypnotic. So on this side, because this side of the chin or cheek is in light, I'm not taking the shadow up into it. Okay, but on this side, I've brought the shadow down and across because all of this kind of melds into one section. So all of this will be in shadow, and there isn't a line that says this is neck and this is face and this is this. It's just all dark shadow or light shadow. So the line is there, I've drawn the line, but I don't necessarily have to colour the line exactly. Same with the lips, you don't outline the lips. I mean, if she's got heavy red lipstick on, of course you would outline the lips. But if you're just sketching her, if you look at your lips in the mirror, there is no hard line where the lips end and the face begin. It kind of fades into a different flesh type. So the colour is there, the tonal value is there, but it's not absolutely like my lips are this shape, you know. Again, it's not this is my lips. You know, you don't want to look like a chav. You know, these girls that put on really heavy lip liner and then frosty lipstick. Yeah, we don't want to go for that look. We want something a little more subtle, where we can see where the lips should be, but you know, you don't necessarily have to draw the whole lip. You can get away with just drawing the outside bits and maybe a bit of the Cupid's bow, and that will tell you that there's a lip there. That is enough, because where it is on the face tells you what it is. It tells you it's a lip. I'm going to put a bit more shadow up in here, because that's a really dark recess up in there. No light getting to that whatsoever. Same as up in here. There's no light getting to this side whatsoever. There'll be a bit of reflected light on her face. But up in here, this is really dark. I cleaned my pen on my jumper again. Oh my god. I've got to stop doing that. All my jumpers have pen marks on them. Admittedly, most of my jumpers are black, but seriously. I go to put on what I think is a clean t-shirt, and then I look at it and I think, what is all those weird marks all over it? It's where I've cleaned my pen on my t-shirt. How are we doing for time? Oh, about another 20 minutes. Is the quality a bit better this week for viewing? I've not only has Ustream given us HD back, but also I've upped my internet speed. I'm on 150 internet speed, and I had 172 the other day. It went over. So I was pretty impressed. Let's give it some eyes, shall we, before we scare everybody. You don't need to join every line up either, or complete every single line. Like here, it's enough for me to do this bit and this bit. Your eye will fill in the rest. You don't necessarily have to draw her eyelid all the way across. See the difference? Like that one I drew it all the way across, because that's going to be in shadow in a minute. I'm going to cover that over. But this one looks so much more natural, because all I've done is done this corner and this corner. Your eye is filling in the rest of that. I haven't drawn it. This one I've drawn it in because she's going to be in more shadow on this side. I'm going to darken the shadows so that I can put shaping shadows on this side. You got snow, Tracy? We've had snow for 3 days. It doesn't settle very well. It settles for about an inch and then it's gone again. As soon as the sun comes out, it's gone. So we're not going for realistic here. We're going for stylized. If I wanted realistic, I'd take a photograph. That's my attitude to it. So now we've darkened the shadows on the dark side. Not quite enough. Need to do a bit more here. Darker around the mouth because the corner of the mouth goes in. So now we've darkened up that side of the face, we can put shadow on the other side of the face, but just contouring shadow, not heavy shadow like this, just to show where, for instance, her nose has, it goes in around her eye and there's a pocket of shadow here. Now it's in light, so it's not going to be a shadow, but we still want to show that that bit of the eye, there is shape there and it's dented. So just a little bit of shadow will give us that shape. Same as with the line of the nose, we'll just get a little bit of shadow, will give us that shape. Okay, so now this side of her face doesn't look flat. See how this side of her face looks flat? Whereas this side has bumps and troughs and bits. That's what you're trying to do with this, but you're going back to the very first layer you put on here and leaving it at that. So her cheek is going to be about there. So where are the shadows going to be? Well, her hair's hanging over her face, so we're actually going to have quite a dark area here where her hair is, because her hair is shadowing her face from the light. So we can put that in quite dark. Where else do we have shadows? Well, her shadow, she has a shadow under her eye. Will I colour her or keep her black and white? I don't know. I have no idea. Until an hour ago, I didn't know I was going to finish her today. In fact, she's still not finished. She's nowhere near finished. I'll do this for hours before I'll be finished. This is the kind of thing I love doing. Sketching in ballpoint, just over and over again. Practicing shading and... See, much lighter, but now you can see the shape of that part of her face. This part of her face, down around her mouth, she'll have a little bit of shadow, but it's shaping shadow. It matches this curve here to show that this area is in highlight. So you've got to have shadow here to contrast with that highlight there. But it doesn't have to be shadow like it is on the other side of the face. See, you can barely see that, but it shows that her mouth goes in there. So now we need to fade out this shadow, because as it comes out into the light, the tonal value will change. To shade it out, we make it lighter around the edges, fade it out, like that, and then we make it darker where we know it's going to be heavily shadowed. Like so. See how this side of her face is getting some shape now? Now her cheekbone sticks out, so this corner here, because it sticks out like a mound, this part can have some shadow. So here I can put in, just very carefully, not too much, doesn't have to be a lot to show the shape, just a little contouring shadow to show where the apple of her cheek is. And if it starts to get too heavy on one side, you can always add more to the shadowed side. See, now you can see where her cheek is. But the rest of it is still in, it's still not in shadow, but you can see where her cheek would be. Just going to marry that up with the nose there. Now the nose also has a highlight. So that's like a mini face. The nose is like a mini face. It's a bump that has bumps and craters and shadows and things. So there'll be shadow around the bottom of the nose, but this bit will be in highlight, and this bit here will be in highlight, which means we can shade in these bits here. But again, because it's a round surface, what we're basically shading here is a sphere. So we've got a highlight here, but then this bit here will be darker, because that's the sphere going off around towards the shadow. So down here, this is going to be quite dark, and it's going to get lighter as we come up. So this side is going to be dark, because this ball is all in shadow. There is no highlight on this side. See? Like that. Now she's getting some real shape to her face, and she's starting to become a character. Again with this is the highlight, so this bit we can afford to put a little bit of shading in just to show that the brow overhangs the eye. Not too much, we just want to make the bridge of the nose and the eyebrow stand out. See how that makes that part of her eye set in, and yet I've hardly done anything. I'm going to refine this bit here now. So that hair is overhanging. So this corner here is going to be much darker. Now I want to avoid the same angle as the eyebrows. So I'm going to change the angle on this way. I don't want it to look like her eyebrows go up into her hair. And this bit is, this is tadpole shading. I call it tadpole shading, okay? You've got a line like that where her hair comes down over her face. So this bit is in shadow. And this is her hair. And tadpole shading is basically where you start at a line and you let it filter out. See how it looks like the shape of a tadpole? It's dark here and then it flicks out and it gradually gets thinner and lighter towards the end. So you start at that line and you go outwards. I'm doing it very densely here so you can really see what I'm talking about. Let's do a bit more so you can see it properly. Okay, now you see how this is very, very dense, and it gradually gets lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter, and there's no defined end. That's what I'm doing. That's what I call tadpole shading. Now what you'll end up with is a series of lines on this line that crisscross, which is why I leave the line until last, and then I'll go back in and I'll scribble the line in, define it a bit better, and I can incorporate those lines into it. And turn it into hair. Like that, and you'd never know that there was dots there that are a problem. Getting a free class today. It's cool, isn't it? I love doing this stuff. I think you need to make her pupils a little bit darker under here. Because again, the eyelid comes down over the eye and the eye is a sphere. So even though the eye is a bulge, so that technically would be like a highlight, but it's receding under an overhang. So you see that? There's your eyeball. Oh look, it's hitting the light. But as soon as you put an eyelid there, there's a shadow. Even if the eyelid is really close, sitting on top of the ball, which it is, still going to be a shadow. So here on the eyeball, there will be a bit of a shadow. Not too much, especially on this side because that's catching the light. But it's another sphere that is overtaken by a shadow. So you can give shape to the eyeball. See how that eye looks better than the other one already? And all I've done is darkened up the pupil and put in a shadow on that corner, just here. That's all I've done. So let's match the other one now, because the eyes are going to be roughly the same. They're the same shape, same angle, same everything. The only difference is the shape of the eyelid itself is slightly different because obviously this is the thin end of the eye and this is the thicker end of the eye. But the eyeballs themselves are identical. Okay, now she's got proper eyes. No, they don't match. Does it matter? No. Do your eyes match? No. There's only about 12 people in the entire world where both sides of their face match. And they earn a lot more money than you do, trust me. They're all supermodels or Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp and Angelina Jolie actually have faces that adhere to the golden ratio type thing that they came up with for faces. Something about a perfectly symmetrical face with the right dimensions and the right size eyes compared to the nose and things like that. That's supposed to fit the golden mean or whatever it is. But like I say, all those people, supermodels. Very, very, very well-known, wealthy people that virtually everybody thinks is beautiful. Even if you don't like Johnny Depp or Angelina Jolie as actors, you can't really say that they're ugly. They might not be your type, but you still think they're beautiful. So, there's my face. so far. I might carry on with her. I might leave her till next week. I don't know. I never know. I hadn't planned to do any more on her today, but I suddenly did. That nostril is getting a bit big compared to this one. So what I'm going to do is add some shading around the edge of this to give the side of this nostril a little bit less definition so that the eye will automatically balance it out. See, now her nose doesn't look so lopsided. It still does look a little bit lopsided. I've gone a bit heavy with the shadow on this side. That's better. She looks a little bit sad. All my girls look sad at the moment. Look at her. She looks like she's going to cry. Right. I think I'm going to stop the recording there. So those of you who are watching live, give me a second. I'll be back with you in a minute. And those who are watching the replay, thank you very much for watching. And I will be back on Wednesday with Witchy Wednesday and next Saturday